Today we will continue our discussion on threads. Uh, it is one of the important topics when we deal with multi-threaded programming. Before your code goes into production, you have to test this feature, otherwise it leads to undesirable results. Now we will see by writing one program what is that issue when we deal with multi-threaded programming. You have already come across this term in operating system course. We will see the same issue through our program. In this program, we have one class multi-threads which contains main. Apart from that, I'll be creating one more class. I'll call it as counter, and within this counter, I have one variable of type integer which is count. And in this class, I'll be having some member methods. The member methods will operate upon this variable count. One method to set the value. Another method to get the value. The return type should be integer, as it will return the value of count variable. Two more methods. One to increment, one statement within this method. One more method to decrement it. So this class counter has one instance variable and 4 instance methods. Apart from this, I have 3 thread subclasses. Class A, within this class, I have run method. Obviously, every thread subclass need to have this run method so that you can place the code that has to be executed by this thread subclass. And within this run method, this class will increment the counter variable within counter class. Now I cannot access this increment method directly. Correct? You are outside the class counter. Hence, it is not possible to access this method directly since it is instance method. What do you need? You need one object. Correct? Object of counter. Only when you have an object reference variable can you make use of this variable. Assume the object reference variable is C. I'll create 2 more thread subclasses similar to this. Let's change the class name. Class ABC. Each of them is a thread subclass which will make use of the same object and operate upon it. The only difference lies in the run method. Class A will increment the counter whereas class B will decrement, and so will class C. 1 increment and 2 decrement. Now coming to main method, I need to create objects of these 4 classes. Object of counter class, counter C is equal to new counter. And I also want to create objects of these thread subclasses. We have 3 threads, and later I'll activate each of them. A dot start, B dot start, and C dot start. Main part is fine. However, observe the run method. You want to operate upon object C, which is of type counter. But the scope is totally different. You are creating object in counter, you are creating object of type counter in main, and directly you are accessing that within run method, which is not valid. What can be done is, once you create the object of type counter within main, you can pass the same object to the constructor of each of the thread subclasses. At the time of creating objects of these thread classes, I'll be passing the object. It is of type counter. So once you pass the object counter to the constructor of thread subclasses, you should also define one parameterized constructor. Otherwise, this leads to compilation error. Let's make the change in respective classes. This must be instance member of this class. Till now we had instance members as variables of primitive type such as int, float, string. Remember, you can also have objects as your members, your class members. And now I'll write constructor which accepts object of type counter, and I'll be assigning this variable, which is instance object reference variable, to this object. The same object, there is only one object of type counter in main, and this single object of type counter is assigned to the object reference variable, which is part of class A. And what should be the statement within this?
This dot C is equal to C.
Correct. Since there is a case of instance hiding, the argument within function is also C, and your instance object reference variable is also C. So I'll be making use of this keyword. And the same change has to be done in each of the subclass. We can just copy this since these statements will be identical. Change the class name in constructor. That's it. let us understand what we have written in this program. I have one class counter with variable of type int and 4 member functions, and later I have created 3 thread subclasses, and they will operate upon this variable count. If one thread calls increment, 2 other thread classes are calling decrement. And now coming to main function, a single object of type counter has been shared with 3 different thread objects. The object is only one. Notice that you are not passing different copies. Single copy being shared by multiple threads. And later you are activating. Earlier the thread will be in new state, and by calling start you are sending them from new to runnable state. And after these threads complete their execution, you want to print the count variable. I can call get function using the object reference variable. There is one condition. I want to print value of count only when each of the threads complete their execution. What is the name of function?
Join.
Correct. If I don't make use of join, then along with these 3 threads, main thread also executes in parallel. So they have not yet completed their task. Meanwhile, I am trying to fetch value of count variable. So in order to avoid that, in order to ensure to print value of count only when they complete execution, I'll be making use of function join. And whenever you make use of join, you should always place them within try block. Until and unless they complete their execution, you will be in waiting state. You will not proceed further. There is problem with the variable. I have used C twice. Let's change the variable name to CTR. Because we had object of C also as C and counter also as C. And I guess it won't be a problem here because you'll be assigning CTR to C. Fine. Now you know what is being done in this program. So based on this, just check what should be the value of this variable C and T at the end of program. Let me display main. Here is the main function. Looking at this code, predict what should be the value of C and T variable in counter class. Thread class A is using increment, B decrements that, and C also decrements it. Ideally, what should be the value of C and T by the time each of these threads complete their execution and you print this message? Initially, what will be the value? Default value of instance variable, which is integer.
0.
0, correct. And after you start the threads, what should be the value? There is only one copy of counter. You don't have 3 different variables. So trace this code and let me know what should be the value.
-1.
-1. So you consider which order? A followed by B and then C, is it?
Yes.
Okay. What if the order is C, B, A? Is that going to change the output? Just check.
Output is same.
Same. Okay. So no matter in which order these threads execute, it should be -1. Ideally, it should be -1, because whether you decrement twice, then increment, or any of the combination, it should be -1. Is this PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So initially, variable count has the value 0, and we have 3 different threads, thread A, B and C. One important point to remember is that each of them have only one copy of counter object, not more than one. No separate individual copy for each of them. Assuming the execution proceeds in this order, thread A, B followed by C. A will increment that, so it is 1, and B will decrement it, so it becomes 0. C will again decrement, -1. Now assume execution occurs in this fashion: C, B and then A. So in this case, final value is -1. Initially 0, C gets a chance to operate upon this variable first. It is decrement operation, -1 followed by B, so it is -2, and A will increment that, so it is -1. Final value -1. Now assume B executes first, then A and then C. I can write it here: B followed by A and then C. In this way, B will increment that. Increment or decrement?
Decrement.
Decrement. So it is -1. A will increment, so it becomes -1 to 0, and C will decrement, so it is -1. Final value -1, which means no matter in which order you execute the threads, final value is -1. Notice the word I used, order, meaning serial order. If they are executing in serial order, one after the other, updating one after the other, then final value is -1. This is our ideal expectation. Now let's come back to code. And execute the program. -1 as expected, fine. Okay, in n number of executions, it is -1. However, in one of the output, it could be 1 in 20 or 1 in 100, there will be deviation. I have stored such output with deviation, and I'll show you that. I have saved output from execution of identical program on different machine. And here is the snapshot of the output for identical program. Can you see any deviation in the output? I have executed the program so many times, printing that current value of counter. It is -1. Any deviation in this snapshot?
There is one 0.
Yes. Here is one more output. At a first glance, the output looks perfect with ideal expected value. Any value different from our expectation?
-2.
Yes, correct. So we have -2 here, and in the previous output I have 0 amidst so many -1 display. So why does this happen? When we run the program, currently it is showing -1 most of the time, all the time, at least until now. However, it is not always guaranteed. You can test the same code on your machine also, and at least once, as I said, it could be 1 in 10 times or 1 in 20 or 1 in 100. There will be some deviation at some point for such programs. Now let's see and try to understand why such deviation in otherwise seemingly simple program. Correct? The logic is correct, no syntax errors, and we are accessing the shared resource with appropriate way. Correct? That's what it appears. But why we get some deviation? Once we got 0 and another time -2. This count variable with initial value 0 is being shared by more than one thread. Correct? Thread A, B and C. And when I write A dot start, B dot start and C dot start, it doesn't mean A will execute first, followed by B and C exactly in the same order. If that was the case, then no problem with the final output. It would always be in -1. Not even a single time there would be variation such as 0 or -2 value, as we saw in the output screenshot. Now assume at time 0, right now A got the CPU core first and it fetched the value. It tries to operate upon this count variable. So what it does, it fetches. It knows that okay, count variable value is 0 now. Using this, let me operate upon it and change its value. So assume in its own space, whichever CPU core it has been allocated, it knows that value of count is 0 and it changes it. It increments that. Now it is still computing. Meanwhile, thread B, it fetches this variable count. It will have its own CPU core. It need not wait for this one, correct? there is one more free CPU core. So using that, B will operate upon this counter variable. Now it thinks count value is 0. But is it really 0 now? No. A has already computed. It is about to update it. It is computing, but it is yet to change this value, update. Meanwhile, B has fetched it and it thinks 0 and it decrements it. And before it can write, this value is changed here. Now B will not know that its value has been changed by someone else. There is one more guy. It's similar to B. It is also thread. It has changed the value. So it thinks only he is operating upon this count variable, and after doing computation, he overwrites the value -1. And each of them think they have done their job perfectly. Now there is one more person, thread C. And in the CPU core allocated to him, he will fetch -1 as the count variable value. And by calling decrement method, he decrements it and writes this value in the count variable. So it is -2. That's why we got to see -2 in one of the output. I ran that program for 20 to 30 times. Out of those 30 times, 29 times I got -1 and one time I got -2. And this is the reason why it is displayed as -2. What was the problem? When one thread is still operating upon it, another thread fetched that value. It should have waited. Ideally, it should have waited. When someone else is changing the value, it should have waited, and only when that value is changed, it should have fetched that. Correct? Only when initially 0, when A changed it, it was 1. If this value was taken by thread B, then things would have been smooth thereafterward. 1 would be changed to 0 and 0 would be changed to -1. But thread B hurried in the process of fetching this value, which was not updated correctly, and using that value, it proceeded with its own computation. So that's why -2. Similarly, you think of a scenario that led to 0. What could be the reason we got 0? Is this clear? Why did we get -2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Think of a scenario when we get 0. You can work this out on a sheet of paper.
Ma'am, when the program is executing in C, B, A sequence, then the first the value will be 0, count value will be 0. Then C fetches that 0, but
Okay.
meanwhile he also fetches the same value as 0.
One second.
So-
We'll write it. B will fetch 0. Okay.
Yeah.
It is operating upon that. It changes.
Yeah.
It is not yet reflected. Okay.
Yeah. C also fetches 0.
Okay. And
So,
Huh.
so both will override that count value to -1 itself.
Okay. Before C can update, B would have updated that. And
Then
without
after
the
that, A
knowledge of
also update.
updated value, C will also present its value -1. Okay,
Then they
good.
A will increment that -1 to -1 plus 1, it will be 0, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Correct. So this is the scenario which can lead to erroneous result as 0. However, no individual thread has the knowledge that together they have contributed to erroneous output. They are aware of only their function, what is present in run. So they think that I have fetched the correct value and I have done my job. B thinks so. Okay, it was 0 and I have decremented. Meanwhile, when B is in progress, C also thinks when I fetched it, its value was 0. So my result should be correct at the time. I mean, when I write it onto the counter variable, it is correct. So this radiates. So once you overwrite the updated value with your own output, this leads to incorrect computation further. That's why we got once 0 and once -2, which are not correct. Why does this happen? Such an issue comes into picture only when you deal with multi-threaded programming and more than one thread try to access single resource, and that resource here is this count variable, which is part of counter object. If you recall the main function, it created single copy of counter object and the same was passed on to all three threads, and they are trying to update it simultaneously. There is contention for the single resource. If it was different copy, then scenario would have been totally different and you would be printing count value of individual objects. However, that's not the case now. Single object being shared by more than one thread, and that led to thread interference. Remember the term, whenever more than one thread try to update same resource, it leads to thread interference, and that we have seen now, and its effect is undesirable. So whenever thread interference occurs, it leads to unforeseen results. Ideally you expect -1, no matter in which order they execute. Here order is not the problem. Whether it is ABC, BCA, CAB doesn't matter, but it's about the timing. When I'm using some resource, if you are a thread, you should wait until I complete my job. Ideally you should wait so that you can get the latest value. But if you hurry, just because you have CPU core allocated, just because one CPU core is free, you make use of that resource and update it by using the wrong value, old value, then final output will be erroneous. So we will see how can we deal with this thread interference. In day-to-day life, what would you do if there is single resource and someone is using that? You should have some mechanism to prevent it. For these online classes, when I make use of Google Meet, no other teacher can use that. I mean, technically she also can log in and view the lecture, not a problem. If it is only viewing, meaning if it is only reading a shared resource, not a problem. But if one more course teacher tries to conduct the class when I am conducting, we can't imagine this situation. It would be chaotic. You can't follow whether to grasp Java concept or any other subject, correct? So there is thread interference. Just because another teacher has her own laptop, her own PC, doesn't mean she can log in and take the classes, correct? Are you able to relate with the concept? That is thread interference. In order to prevent that, what we can do is use lock feature. When I log in to take a class, no one else, no other teacher should be able to log in and take the class, present her screen, to prevent thread interference. We don't have lock feature for Google Meet, that was just example. However, for threads, in order to prevent interference among threads, there is lock feature. It's not a physical lock and key concept, similar to that. So when thread A is accessing counter object, you will acquire a lock on that. Conceptually, you will acquire a lock on that, and once the object counter is locked for modification, no other thread can do any operation, modification operation on this particular object. So this is the idea behind the mechanism to prevent thread interference. So how can we achieve this through our program? How can I acquire lock on a shared resource to prevent simultaneous updation? This is possible in Java with a keyword, and it is synchronized. It is not just synchronize, it is synchronized, and you have to be careful with the spelling. It is not yes, it is Z. When you make use of synchronized keyword in your program, such situation will never occur. So using this, you are essentially acquiring a lock on shared resource, which is counter object in our case. Let's make use of synchronized keyword in our program and prevent the thread interference. I'm not able to reproduce that kind of output which I showed few minutes ago. So once we got 0 and -2. Currently I'm not able to reproduce the same output. You can try the code on your machine and confirm that. Yeah. Now I got different value. Observe here. I think until now I ran the program at least 50 times. Correct? Approximately 50 times. 49 times it was -1 and now it is -2. So just because you get the correct output for 8 to 10 times doesn't mean your program is interference free. It is not interference proof. So in order to prevent this, not even once should you get a value different from -1. If it is a computer program, obviously it should always give me same output. There shouldn't be situations like this. Now I want to acquire lock on shared resource. So where should we write synchronized keyword? Here is a thread subclass, and within this run method, the moment a thread is in running state, it should acquire lock on particular object. Here I write the keyword synchronized. Which object? Object C. until I complete my execution, this counter C object is exclusively my property. Until I complete my Java session, this Google Meet for 5th sem is mine. No other teacher can log in and start his or her own lecture. That is the meaning. So once you acquire the lock, when you operate upon this object, no one else can use that. I have to write the same keyword in all other thread subclasses. Don't forget this pair of braces. Once you write synchronized keyword, you should mention the resource within pair of parentheses, and whatever code you had written as part of run method should be enclosed within one more pair of curly braces. Now, no matter how many times I run this program, the output should always be -1. Even if you run this for 1000 times, not even once should you get any other value apart from -1. That is guaranteed now, because each of the thread objects is acquiring a lock on common resource, single shared resource, and hence when one thread object is operating upon that, when it is doing some modification and changes to the shared object, no one else can use it, and hence there will not be any erroneous output. From now on, whenever you write a program using threads and you make use of single shared copy, don't forget this synchronized keyword. It avoids thread interference effect and ensures that your output is always accurate.